Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage. What's going on, Tanimals? Welcome to another edition of the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media Network. I'm Brian Tan, and with me as always is the bat boy to my home run hitting power, Jackson Law. J Law, how the hell are you?
Doing good, man. I feel I feel like I'd be more of like a bat dog than a bat boy.
Dog.
You know, I'm like with the like a double A team or like the rookie division. You know, I feel like I fit that a little bit more.
Fair enough. Well, then that means that Benny the Jet
Something to get fans in the stands, make them interested.
Oh, that's cool. You could be you could be the Capital City Maniac or whatever his whatever the Capital City guy from The Simpsons his name is. You could be the Capital City Maniac.
Exactly.
And then we can have Benny the Jet in the control room as the bat boy. But speaking of which, we got a lot to get through. We got some breaking baseball news coming out. As soon as we get things in full, we'll definitely give it to you throughout the hour. But first and foremost, we got to talk about the passing of a legend, an absolute legend. 4 days ago, late last week, we lost Hammerin Hank Aaron, the man himself, the guy who was the MLB home run king for so many years before Barry Bonds sort of came in and stole the title. And I use that purposefully. Hammerin Hank, born February 5th, 1934, died last week, January 22nd, at the age of 86 years old. And you want to talk about a career, man. This is a guy, he started out with the Indianapolis Colts in the Negro League in 1952. And then was suddenly, he not too long later, he ends up in Milwaukee. Yeah, before the Milwaukee Brewers were a thing, they were the Milwaukee Braves. And then they moved to Atlanta in 1974. He played with the Braves for almost his entire career, from 1954 to 1974, and then went back into Milwaukee for the Brewers from 75 to 76. Died of natural causes. That was not COVID. COVID did not take Hammerin Hank from us. It was just his time. That makes the loss a little bit easier to bear, knowing that it wasn't something that could have been, that didn't have to be, natural causes or natural causes. But J Law, 25-time All-Star. Consistency, thy name is Hank Aaron. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, World Series champion in 57, National League MVP in 57, 3-time Golden Glove Award winner, 2-time NL batting champion, 4-time NL home run leader, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1982, 97.8% first ballot votes, among the highest all time, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, what more? What do you say about that?
I mean, it's incredible. It's domination for a quarter of a century. basically for it's insane. Hank Aaron is one of those people. He's one of those players that, regardless of where you grow up, how you grow up, if you play the game of baseball, the name Hank Aaron is told to you in some shape, form, or fashion. I am a white guy from the South that primarily in my area doesn't have too many, like a large African American population, and playing baseball, it's like 30, 40 white kids at a camp. And Hank Aaron is like the guy that they're talking about. It's like, you want to talk about power, you want to talk about hitting, you want to talk about fielding. Hank Aaron, doesn't matter, again, who you are, what you did, breaking color barriers, tearing them down. Such an incredible player, and the domination for over 25 years is absolutely incredible. Even with just one World Series, there's not a person in the world that wouldn't take Hank Aaron's career. Like, if you had the opportunity to start baseball now at a young age and play for 25 years, and they're like, whose career would you want? You got to take Hank Aaron's. If they offer you a Hank Aaron's, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hank Aaron, what's crazy, though, is that with his percentage, 97.8 first ballot votes, he's number 9 on the list for the highest first ballot votes. That's not bad, being in the top 10 all time. I mean, obviously, the only ones that are, number 1 and number 2, Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter. But again, you don't have, that's awesome of them. But honestly, Hank Aaron, the fact that 3.2 or 2.2% of people didn't vote Hank Aaron for a first ballot Hall of Fame induction is just laughably insane to me. Like, I think the only slap in the face more is the fact that I believe Ken Griffey Jr. didn't get first ballot Hall of Famer. I believe that was the case.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, Hammerin Hank, it's a huge loss because this is a guy who
it is.
He dominated in baseball. When his baseball career ended, he got into business and became a huge pioneer as a black business owner. I mean, it's just like this man just learned and did so much, and he's going to be missed. I would definitely take a moment to go to Vendetta Sports Media. We vendettasportsmedia.com, excuse me. And we've had some tributes on the website to Hammerin Hank Aaron. Make sure you guys definitely go and check those out, because oh man, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's sad, Thoughts and prayers definitely with the Aaron family, friends, all the associates that knew him. Yeah, it sucks, dude, because it's just another childhood hero that's passed.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what sucks is that the older you get, the more it happens. And it sucks. It sucks ass. But yeah, definitely, talking about go to vendettasportsmedia.com and check out the article written by Anthony Fontanello. An amazing tribute to the man himself, because Hank Aaron was a GOAT when it came to baseball, and he handled so much pressure with just grace and strength. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize, well, you realize because you hear the story, but just all the crap that he went through while breaking Babe Ruth's record. And every time I see those two guys rush the field and run the bases with Hank Aaron, it warms my heart just a little bit, just because it's like, no one's going to hurt you while we're here. At least that's what it looks like to me. So, oh man, it's rough. It's very rough.
Yeah, but, and like I can't remember the exact verbatim of what the announcer that made the call when he broke the record, but it was something along the lines of, that this was great for baseball, great for the country, and great for the world. It really was one of those magical moments that will never be forgotten, and definitely will, be one of the greatest memorable moments in all of sports history.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, staying on the diamond, tonight there was some voting going on for the Baseball Hall of Fame, and as it stands right now, 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm getting it from in the chat here from Benny the Jet. It looks like Hall of Fame voting is over, and there are no inductees in the Baseball Hall of Fame this year. No one's going to Cooperstown this year. Now, this is only the fourth time this has happened in the history of baseball. Baseball has been played since, God, the 1800s. And this is only the fourth time this has happened. 1971, 1996, and 2013, and now 2021. Jackson Law, this is insane. Now, I'm going to bring up, I'm bringing up right now some of the guys whose names were up there for the Hall. Curt Schilling got 71.1% of the votes needed to get in. He just missed by about 4% because you have to get a 75%.
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside. Tried the corner and missed. Then you get Barry Bonds, 61.8%. Roger Clemens, 61.6%. Scott Rowland, 52.9%. Omar Vizquel, 49.1%. Billy Wagner, 46.4%. Todd Helton, 44.9%. And at the very bottom of the list, which is kind of sad, Gary Sheffield at 40.6%. Now, so that means that a moron, two super steroid guys got the top votes, and everyone else is just like, no. Gary Sheffield still shocks me. I was big into Gary Sheffield back in the day. I thought he was such a great player. I think the whole reason Gary Sheffield, he just pisses people off.
The whole reason why I incorporated a like it wasn't like a heavy bat motion, but I did have a little bit of motion in my stance, and it's because I was like, Gary Sheffield, man, that's cool. Now, like, it wasn't like how he did it, where it was like basically level, horizontal with the ground, moving forward.
Right.
I didn't have it that, but
See, I modeled my batting stance after Frank Thomas, to be honest. That's who I modeled my batting stance after.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that's crazy. This is only the fourth time in Major League history that this has happened. And honestly, man, that steroid era, it's gonna haunt and hurt these guys for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. It's probably, honestly, I don't see Roger Clemens or Barry Bonds getting into the Hall of Fame at least until 2025, maybe. I want to say at the latest 2025, maybe. It's gonna take some of these baseball guys that make these votes that are on that voting committee. I think it's going to take some of them finally, retiring and some newer blood to come in. The baseball purists aren't going to let Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens in. And I saw on Twitter earlier today, someone was saying, well, it's Roger Clemens's politics that's keeping him out the Hall of Fame. And I'll say this, I think it's not Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling. And while I think that Roger, why do I keep saying that? While, yeah, a lot of it is Curt Schilling's politics, but I think that it's his personal stance and his takes coupled with his politics, because a lot of the things that he says is just disgusting. It's just garbage. And who wants the Hall to be associated with him in that regard right now? When we're in the times right now of, people aren't putting up with anything that even remotely sniffs being bigoted. No one wants it. So you can't be surprised and you can't get pissed off about it, J. Law. Am I right? I mean, you can get pissed off, but
yeah, no, you're right.
It kind of makes you an asshole. Because the bottom line is the time of just being able. I remember someone saying to me at one point, they said, wow, it's like people can't even take a joke anymore. It's like, or maybe the joke wasn't ever funny. And now people are coming to a point where they don't have to laugh at it to feel accepted. Because I laughed at a lot of jokes that weren't funny because I felt that I had to. But now you don't have to because it's just not acceptable. It's not okay. So, yeah, I don't think Curt Schilling should be shocked. I don't think a lot of people have the right to be shocked. And it's not just political correctness. It's just being a decent human being.
Yeah, and the fact that he got so close and that he leads voting makes me believe that he'll still probably get in.
Oh, he'll make it next year. I'm sure he'll make it next year. This is still sort of them telling Curt,
I just don't see how you get this close and then you have like a massive drop off to the point like you'll never get in.
Right. No,
and you will have some baseball purists, even if you have some younger cats move into the voting. And I say younger, these, they're obviously not like, 20-year-olds doing this. It's people that have been in the business for many, many, many years.
Yeah, these are guys that are like in their 40s that are doing it. I mean, honestly, I definitely see that. I think a big portion of it too is I think that the longer it draws out, the harder it would be for Schilling to get in. Schilling is in a much different boat than Bonds and Clemens are. As these guys who are in their 30s and 40s come in to be the voters for the Hall, those guys are more likely to get in, but they're going to be less likely to vote for Curt Schilling. So I think Curt Schilling, if he doesn't get in the next 2-3 years, he doesn't get in. That's my personal take.
Yep. And of course, just gotta keep rooting for my boys, Scott Rowland, St. Louis Cardinal legend, and then Gary Sheffield, just because, like I said, I liked Gary Sheffield growing up. So
same here. And one real quick last thing before we take our break. The fire sale in Pittsburgh continues on. We're now Jameson Taillon is gone to the Yankees. It looks like the Pirates are trying to build the farm system and build for the future. I'm happy with what Ben Cherington is doing. This is essentially what Ben Cherington did when he was in Boston. He got rid of some of the big names, the guys that had contracts on them, and he started bringing in pieces to build a real team around. What do you think there, J-Law?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's weird to say Pittsburgh is a small market, but it is a small market when it comes to baseball. When you have no salary cap and teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers that seem to have unlimited money,
right,
and can spend it on all the free agents. About the only way, if you stagnate, if you hit a ceiling, then you gotta find a way to dump those players off and acquire assets, acquire prospects that are in the minors, so that way you can try and build. And that's the only chance that a small market team like Pittsburgh has a chance, because they're not going to go out and land major free agents unless they build a good team, an attractive team, through drafting and through the farm system and finding some raw prospects and really sending them through the machine, and then they come out on the other side as solid contributors in the majors.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they did with Cole Tucker and Brian Reynolds. And right now, the Pirates are projected to have a payroll of only $40 million. That's garbage. I mean, that's better than that's better than their payroll from last year, because I think their payroll last year was in the 20s. So it's up a little bit. But you're talking about a ceiling building, you're getting a ceiling and now you're using them, you're getting rid of those assets. Josh Bell, Joe Musgrove, and Jameson Taillon, three of the more popular Pirates of the last few years, especially with after we lost Andrew McCutchen. And of course, I'm wrong again. Their payroll was actually $54 million last year. So now their payroll is down by $14 million. So this year, they're not winning anything this year. They're not even sniffing. This is the lowest payroll in all of Major League Baseball.
No.
So they're definitely building for the future. They're not building for now. They're building for the future. Maybe in 5, 6, 7 years, maybe when I turn 50, So we're talking 8, not 8 to 9 years. Maybe the Pirates will do something. Maybe.
Yeah, get a pirate tankathon now.
Yeah. Thing is, though, in baseball, even if
I
you
don't know.
tank, it doesn't matter. Even
Yeah,
if you
I know.
tank, it means nothing. It's like, is there a draft? Is there a sport where the draft means less than in Major League Baseball? Because you don't see these people for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So
yeah, and it's like it doesn't matter if you get picked first or 100th. You could still have the exact same career when all is said and done.
exactly.
It just depends on how the player develops.
Exactly. But all right, so we're gonna I can't wait to start talking baseball, J Law. I really can't. I love baseball. Is I'll tell you the truth, baseball is one of those sports where, and we talked about this before, there's times where I don't even bother to like watch a lot of games sometimes, just because it's just not interesting to me anymore. You know what I mean? I'd rather watch highlights and analyze from there and pick a player to analyze. Baseball, I can just sit and listen to baseball, like just have the game on and listen and take it all in. And it just means that much more. So I can't wait to start talking more baseball. And as we get more baseball news, I'm going to be very excited. But we're going to take our first break here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, Vendetta Sports Media. We'll be right back. We're going to talk NFL championship round. We're not doing any Super Bowl predictions this week. We're only analyzing the championship games, and then we're going to save the real Super Bowl talk for next week. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show on Vendetta Sports Media Network. The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16 ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12 ounce, 16 ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the US, go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. All right, guys, we're back on the back with the Tanndemonium Sports Show on Vendetta Sports Media Network. And the last bit of baseball news that we need to talk about, and Trey put up a real informative article up on the vendettasportsmedia.com. The Phillies have re-signed the man himself, JT Realmuto, best catcher in the game right now by far. And he's the latest $100 million man in sports, signing a 5-year, $115.5 million contract. Now, the thing is, though, that's
so
huge. That is
money.
And that's huge for a catcher, because catchers break down faster than the other position players, even faster than pitchers a lot of the time. You get a lot of, you figure nowadays in the game, you've got the pitch count where once a pitcher gets to 100 pitches, he's taken out of the game. But catchers break down faster than anyone else because of the issues on the knees. I mean, granted, they dealt with
and catchers are playing more games.
Right.
Like Real Muto, or if I stick with my home team, I say home team, they're still like 6 to 8 hours away. But the St. Louis Cardinals, Yadier Molina, who they've had forever, man's playing 80% of the games every year.
Right. And so catchers break down quickly. And Realmuto has already had knee surgery, which is a big deal. So he's probably going to have to switch to first base, because a lot of catchers switch over to first base when their knees can no longer take it. And he had the surgery 2 years ago now, back in 2019. So for him to get that much money, that just goes to show how important he is as a player to this ball club. And the thing is, when you get a lot of catchers, they're not always the best hitters on the team. They're not always the power hitters, but they are the guys that are the most important to your defense. They're the guys that keep their eyes on the base runners. They're the ones that are making the big throws that can turn a single into just a single, or a single that brings a runner around the score and puts someone in the scoring position. And he's already 29 years old. So it's crazy to me. It's like the catcher position is such an important position, but this guy is already like he's on the wrong side of 25 for that position. So they must have plans, J Law, to move him to another spot to keep him in the lineup. But I mean,
that or he's just, I mean, he is, like we said, he's arguably the best catcher in baseball right now. So maybe you pay him that money, and it's only 5 years. I say only, but only being 29 years old, maybe at the end of that 5 years, you've gotten what you've needed out of him. And then maybe if you want to keep him around, then, maybe that's when you can move him. Or if someone else is willing to pay a huge amount of money and take a huge amount of risk on a guy, something like that, whatever, then yeah, 5 years, that's fine.
Yeah.
Even with the insane amount of money that this guy is going to be making.
He's not going to first base because they got Rhys Hoskins at first.
Yeah.
So he's not moving to first. So it just goes to show how much I know. But I mean, it's just one of those things where you seriously wonder, what the thinking is for a 29-year-old catcher. But you know what? Hey, I don't begrudge anybody making their money. I don't. So, but he's actually going to be breaking Joe Mauer's mark of $23 million a year. So Real Muto overtaking Joe Mauer. Now Joe Mauer was huge to that Minnesota Twins team, but when he started breaking down, man, it was quick and fast. So I seriously hope that Real Muto is able to keep it going long enough. But Philly's got so much money. I mean, they're paying this guy this much amount of money. Meanwhile, you're also paying Bryce Harper like ungodly amount of money as well. But I mean, but Real Muto hitting 278. That's an average you want to keep going up in there. That's not too shabby. That's not bad for a catcher. And no. All right, let's move to the NFL. Conference championship weekend. It was one part shocking, one part par of the course, and you know what I'm talking about. I was 50%. I was 50% this time around, J Law. Let's start with the NFC. Let's go with the shocker. Oh man, Tom Brady and the Bucs, they got it done in Lambeau. I picked the Packers to win. I said that the Packers were going to destroy. I was all about that life, that the Packers were going to destroy the Bucs. And then Tom Brady goes, "Oh, really, asshole?" Oh man, the Bucs topped the pack 31-26 to send Tom Brady to his 10th. Was it his 10th Super Bowl? Yeah, his 10th Super Bowl.
10th Super Bowl, yeah.
10th Super Bowl.
Crazy. Guy's been in the Super Bowl more times than he hasn't. His percentage of making it to the Super Bowl is a higher percentage than Steph Curry's career three-point percentage.
That's crazy. Dude, Tom Brady, one dude has been to the Super Bowl more than 3 NFL franchises that come right off the top of my head. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Detroit Lions, and the Cleveland Browns.
And there's only one franchise that's been to a Super Bowl more than Brady. And you know who it is?
Who?
It's the New England Patriots, because they went to a couple Super Bowls before he got there.
Yes, they did.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Didn't win one until he came around, but they went to a couple Super Bowls before he got there.
Right. I mean, that's crazy. Dude, Tom Brady has been more Super Bowls even than the Raiders. Dude, Tom Brady has been to more Super Bowls than teams have won Super Bowls. Like Tom Brady has, if Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, then he's got more Super Bowls than any team in football. Like, wow.
Yeah,
and I
like
want to
what
hate that. I
the
want to hate it.
Cowboys have 6. How many do the Steelers have? Do
No,
the Steelers have 7? Is
the
it 7 that the Steelers have?
no, the Steelers have 6. The Patriots have 6, and
Okay.
the Cowboys only have like
Cowboys have 8. Okay.
they don't have the Cowboys have 8 Super Bowls, or they have 8 appearances. The Cowboys have 8 appearances,
8 appearances.
5 wins.
Talking about specifically wins.
Yeah, the Steelers have 6 Super Bowl wins. The Patriots have 6 Super Bowl wins.
So if he wins this, then he's won more Super Bowls than any franchise. That's amazing.
And coach, because Bill Belichick has
and coach,
6. Yeah. Oh man, that is just unreal. But you know what? But also, in the Buccaneers are the first team in NFL history. The Super Bowl is going to be a home game. That is unreal. But you know something?
But you know what sucks? It's during COVID, so it's not like it has like a huge difference in it. I don't know what Florida's doing with letting people back in the stands. I mean, it's they've which it's an old state because there's a lot of old people there, and a bunch of old people have the vaccine. So maybe you can hand it out to some retirees, which I think they did say that fans are going to be back in the stands. I think I do remember that because a couple thousand tickets are being handed out for free to some of the healthcare workers.
20. Yeah, they're going to allow
like
22. They're going to allow 2,200 people, 22,000 people in the stadium. 7,500 are going to go to healthcare workers. I think that's cool. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But is this more now? Tom Brady, he didn't have the most spectacular game. He had a very Jameis Winston-esque game. 20 of 36, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Aaron Rodgers had the superior game. 33 of 48, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. This is another example of the Green Bay Packers letting Aaron Rodgers down. I think this is less the Buccaneers winning than the Green Bay Packers losing. They gave it away. They took advantage. But this is a Packers letdown. This is once again Aaron Rodgers being let down. And honestly, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm ready. I'm done. I'm ready to go. I'm done. I'm done in Green Bay. Because this is just
there was a lot of questionable calls on their side, or not like calls like refs, but like calls from the Packers side where play calling. So LaFleur going for the field goal. Everyone, tortured, crucified him for that. You had a dropped pass that hit a receiver in the chest on a 2-point conversion.
Devontae Adams, man.
Devontae Adams dropped a potential touchdown. And then you had a 2-point conversion that was dropped by another receiver. And then there was another instance where it's a what if. But Rodgers, even for his age, is a fairly mobile quarterback. And I exclaimed this when I saw it, but he had a potential running avenue for a score and decided to throw it instead. And like I said, he's not the quickest, but he can move. So it's just kind of like a what if moment where it's like when a trip to the Super Bowl is on the line, it's and like your legacy is on the line, like how people are going to view you in the patriarchy of the NFL, you got to go lay out there. It's the same thing that John Elway did, because that man needed a Super Bowl to secure his legacy. And there's the famous highlight, the scene where he dives for the end zone. And I mean, the dude gets popped, gets the touchdown. They end up winning the Super Bowl. And that's like the highlight of Elway's career, is an older quarterback who doesn't really have his legs anymore, laying it on the line for his team to win. And that's how everyone remembers Elway. Even though he lost a ton of Super Bowls up until that point, that's the one thing people remember about Elway, and it's extremely positive. That could have been something that how people remembered Rodgers, is a game-winning touchdown where he lays it out on the line. But that's ifs and buts and everything. And just at the end, it boiled down to the offense not being able to do what it needed to do. It couldn't move. The defense did their job. And intercepting Tom Brady 3 times back to back and setting the offense up in good field position. They just couldn't move the football and they couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah. It sucks. I was
And
really hoping
this
to
is
see.
this is another interesting stat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. For the people that don't know, we have a weird issue where it's like I'm behind on Brian's screen and Brian is behind on my screen. So there's going to be some weird cutting in and out of us interrupting each other as we're fumbling trying to get through this. But this is a stat that blew my mind, and I knew about it before I saw Trey's tweet today from his That's Some Cheese episode that I don't think has released yet. But Tom Brady in the playoffs for his career is 3-1 when he throws 3 or more interceptions in a game in the playoffs.
That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Like, what? That means that dude is sucking that game. He is making terrible mistakes. The defense is jumping the routes. They're confusing the man, and he still wins. He gets a lucky break.
All he does is win, man. All he does is win. But I feel most bad for Aaron Rodgers. I hope he can get out of there and go to a decent team that can at least get him that elusive second ring. There's so much football that we need to talk. So much happened. Let's move on. The Chiefs roll past the Bills. Mm-hmm. This I called. I said that if Patrick Mahomes was healthy, he comes back and he wins. I was kind of rooting for the Bills, but when I heard that Patrick Mahomes was back and he was fine, it's like, yep, that's it for the Chiefs. I mean, that's it for the Bills. 29-38, 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. Got it done. Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Dude, Patrick Mahomes is otherworldly. Oh, my God. What is this? And what does this mean for Patrick Mahomes' legacy? Easy. It's not there yet. He's not even 5. He's barely 5 years in the league. Am I right? Barely 5 years.
Yeah. No, they won the Super Bowl last year, and he came out in the offseason and is like, yeah, I'm still learning how to read defenses.
Yeah.
You mean you won an MVP and you won a Super Bowl? And you're like, yeah, defenses confuse me easily. I still can't read them all that well.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
It's still way
unfair.
too easy.
Honestly, unfair.
It's still way too easy to talk. It's way not easy. It's way too early to talk about a legacy when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. Come to me in 2023, 2024, and then we can start this legacy talk. Because, like I said,
the opening
he still feels way too young.
Are going good.
Yeah, absolutely. These early chapters are going amazing. Oh, man. So next week, we're going to dedicate the majority of the show to Super Bowl talk. We're going to talk about, the storylines of the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about, we're going to do our analysis. We're going to talk about who we think is going to win, but we're not going there this time around. We're going to sort of leave that on the table. One thing that I do want to bring up, and we're going to go a little bit over on this segment, but we can do that. My Pittsburgh Steelers, we picked, I said, did I not say I would love to see Dwayne Haskins in Pittsburgh? Ask and ye shall receive. Dwayne Haskins has been signed to a futures deal, and I'm excited for it. And the Steelers have also promoted quarterback coach Matt Canada to offensive coordinator. Now, Matt Canada was the so wait a minute. So Patrick Mahomes only came to the league in 2017. So he's been in the league now. He's going into year 4. It's way too early to talk.
Technically, it's only played 3 because he sat that first year behind Alex Smith.
Right.
Then they traded him to
Right. So it's only been 3. So it's only been 3 years, 3 to 4 years. So yeah, too early to talk legacy. When it's been 5-6 years, then we can talk legacy. But yeah, so Dwayne Haskins is coming into Pittsburgh, and it's ironic that he's coming. He's here in Pittsburgh because now Matt Canada is going to be the offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator at Pitt, and I believe he coached at LSU. And Matt Canada, he is a very, very smart sort of offensive mindset guy. and he's really big on motion and attacking weaknesses in the defense. Do you think, J Law, that maybe Ben Roethlisberger's days could be numbered? Am I saying that, Dwayne Haskins is going to come in and start? No. But Dwayne Haskins does have this he may not have been the hardworking guy that he was in college and high school in Washington, but coming into a system where he's wanted, because he knew he wasn't really wanted, but he's come into a system where he's wanted, where he has a chance. Some folks are saying that this is a bad move and the Steelers suck and F. Dwayne. I think that this could be a big deal. I think this could be one of the most underappreciated moves of this early offseason, of the Steelers offseason.
Yeah. What happened to Dwayne Haskins was hopefully a wake-up call, because obviously you could tell even before, like, a lot of the antics were kind of, ramped up a little bit, that Ron Rivera didn't want Dwayne Haskins. Rivera, in his mind, had made up that Haskins was not the future of that squad, of that organization. And so it's hard to perform well when your when your head coach doesn't even want you, when you're from the last regime. And obviously Rivera comes in, he's like, I want to do this my way, build this team my way. And, you're a waste of a draft pick. And then, you have the thing where he's going out to clubs and partying during COVID without masks. And I mean, hopefully it's a wake-up call, because very rarely do you see a first-round pick just get cut like he did, because first-round picks get decent guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
It's not as much as it used to be, where they're like making 70, 80 million.
Oh my God, it was insane back in the day.
Yeah, they finally put a cap on what rookies could make, but yeah, so obviously, he's not making that much money. If he was making that much money, like if this was 2005, 2006, there's no freaking way they'd let him go. And I agree with Trey, where when you draft a quarterback in the first round, you better be prepared to pay that man $150 million in the future, because that's essentially what you are committing yourself to, is a 4 to 5 year development period, and then paying the man $150 million, and then he's your quarterback for 10 years. Because if not, then why pick a quarterback there? Why not take another position that you need filled with a guy that or at least have a great chance at becoming good, and then sign a guy in free agency or get a guy in the second or third round that you could try out. But I'm cool with him going to Pittsburgh. Hopefully, like I said, this is a wake-up call for him. He'll go to a better position. He'll go to a team and an organization that has a great history and has success in developing its players at all positions, especially the receiver position. Pittsburgh is like wide receiver central for whatever reason. They always seem to hit it out of the park whenever they draft someone at that skill position. And I think that it will be great for him sitting behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. Nothing against Alex Smith. Alex Smith is a great quarterback, but he's going to be able to learn more things from Ben and be set up more for success. And it's low risk and high reward for Pittsburgh, because if Haskins doesn't pan out, you spent little to no money on the guy. But if he does, then you can wrap him up quickly and cheap for a long time. And then there's your quarterback. There's your heir. You didn't have to trade for Sam Darnold or Carson Wentz. You didn't have to make any gut-wrenching decisions about your roster. You just signed a cheap deal with a guy, and he pans out great. If not, oh well.
And Joey Dykes was on Vendetta Sports Media, and he said that he feels that the Steelers are making a huge mistake with this Haskins signing. And he cites that now this is what he says. He says that while he praises Dwayne Haskins as a, quote, very physically talented quarterback, being physically talented does not mean anything in the NFL if you can't use it. Jamarcus Russell was physically talented, but was still a terrible bust. And it's the same with Haskins. I disagree with that, because Dwayne Haskins had a few decent games as the signal caller for the Washington football team with nobody around him. He did a very decent job. He made some good clutch throws, and he made some real tight throws. He did a relatively decent job. The reason why that he was cut and that he lost his job to Alex Smith and to what's that other cat's name? To Tyler Heineke is because he was not. I mean, yeah, he was. You know, I'm not saying that the way he handled things was right with Ron Rivera not wanting him. I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying I get it. You don't want to be there if they don't want you there. So I get it. And of course, you know, he goes on to talk about Dwayne Haskins' attitude and, you know, his poor behavior had him have his, you know, captain status revoked and, you know, this, that, and the other. And yeah,
it's also just a terrible offense.
Right. That offense just wasn't.
Like, it's hard to produce a lot. Yeah, and it's like they won that division not because they were a great football team. They had a pretty good defense, but it was because it's the worst division in football. That's why you won that division.
Right. Exactly. I seriously, and now I seriously think that Dwayne Haskins is getting a lot of grief, and in a lot of ways rightly so, because of how he handled the situation with Ron Rivera. But I seriously think you got to give this guy his due. And this deal has tons of upside. And this also gives Mike Tomlin one thing that he has not had since he became the Steelers head coach. And that is the ability to groom a young quarterback. Because Ben Roethlisberger is Bill Cowher's guy. By the time Tomlin took over, Roethlisberger wasn't getting groomed. He was already the guy. So I don't know. I seriously think that I think that I don't agree with the take. I understand the take, but I don't agree with it. All right, so we're going to take another quick break. We still have some more NFL talk to do. We still have to talk Matt Stafford. We have to talk the first full-time female assistant coach in NFL history. And then we're going to close out with some NBA talk. So stick with us. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show on the Vendetta Sports Media Network, and we'll be right back.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by Forever Grips. Go to forevergripsgaming.com for all of your affordable gaming accessories. Need new grips for your analog sticks? They've got it. Need to swag up your controller or console, including the Xbox Series X or PS5? They've got it. Need a sweet mouse pad to complete your setup? Go to forevergripsgaming.com now. Act now and use the Vendetta Sports Media promo code VSM15 at checkout to get 15% off of your purchase. That's right, 15% off by using our promo code VSM15. Forever Grips, the best accessories for the best prices are with Forever Grips.
All right, we're back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show. It's our final break. So let's see if we can get through this. Oh, man. So Matt Stafford and the Lions have finally said no more. It's finally goodbye. They've mutually agreed to part ways after 12 years. This is like the third time that the Lions have had amazing talent just be ready to quit on them. You had Barry Sanders retire to get the hell away from, and Megatron retire to get the hell away from. Now Matt Stafford is like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done. That just goes to show, like, that this team, this Detroit Lions team is just laughable. This is probably one of the worst run teams in sports, next to the Pittsburgh Pirates. But so, where do you think he goes, J-Law? Where do you think Matt Stafford ends up? Because they're saying that it could be Washington, Indianapolis, New England, and Denver. Those four teams need a quarterback. And there's even been rumors saying that they might move on. The San Francisco 49ers might move away from Jimmy Garoppolo to go after Matt Stafford. What team do you think goes for Matt Stafford? And how much are you willing to give up for a 32, 33-year-old quarterback?
I don't think the Lions will get a huge haul for him, even though he is a quarterback and, has had, a great stat padding career. with them where he puts up big numbers but just can't win football games.
Well, yeah, because he's the Lions
it's gonna be
all-time leading
it's gonna be tough
passer.
to move on from. Yeah, but I mean, it's just he's still under contract, has a good sized contract, so it's just gonna be tough. Gut instinct makes me feel like New England is probably the leader involved with it. New England or Indianapolis would probably be the two big ones. I feel like with the San Francisco rumors, if anything, their top priority is if Aaron Rodgers is in fact done with the Packers, then
He's
Rodgers
going
being
back
a
out.
Cali boy growing up in the Bay,
Well, I'm packing up
I
my game
feel
and now my
like
head
the
out
Rams
west.
or the 49ers. Yeah, I feel like the Rams or the 49ers are going to be the place where if Rodgers does move on from the Packers, those are going to be his top two. Trade me to one of these two teams. Just make it work. Whatever. I don't care. Just make it work. And of course, both of those teams would not complain if Aaron Rodgers ended up, especially with if you've got Jimmy G, if you've lost faith in Jimmy G, or especially Jared Goff, you could easily move on to those two for Aaron Rodgers.
See, and
that's no brainer.
And that's the thing too, is that jumping back to Aaron Rodgers, that's a really good point. You could do a quarterback swap. Jimmy Garoppolo is younger than Aaron Rodgers. He's a serviceable quarterback. You could bring him you can do sort of like a quarterback swap and say a second or third round pick. Would you take that deal? Would you if the Packers, if you're the San Francisco 49ers GM and the Packers said, "Hey, Aaron wants out. I want Jimmy Garoppolo and a second round pick." Do you make that trade? And if the Lions call you as the Rams, do you say, "Well, I'll give you Jared Goff and a second round pick for Matt Stafford, and you have to give me like a fourth rounder"? What trades do you make?
A second round pick for Stafford is because I don't know, because I think Stafford is just kind of on the tail end. Like, yeah, he could still put up big numbers. I don't know. I don't know if you get a second rounder. I think maybe a third round and some more compensation trickling down is probably what you get for him. Because he doesn't have MVPs. He doesn't have a Super Bowl. It's not like Rodgers. Rodgers, you could probably get a hefty price for Rodgers. Obviously, no discounts there. Because Rodgers is also, again, to bring up Rodgers is also under contract still, so he would have to be traded to move on. But I do not know what his trade value is. And the weird thing is that the Jamal Adams trade between the Jets and the Seahawks has kind of screwed up the trade market, I feel like, because the Seahawks gave up so much for Jamal Adams, a couple first-round picks and some others, that it's like they've oversaturated the market.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know. And there's something, because these Lion teams haven't been terrible. He's had good receivers.
Yeah.
They've had decent teams, and he couldn't get it done as a quarterback. When you have weapons like Calvin Johnson and you're not winning playoff games, then I don't know what to tell you. Then I have to start looking at you as the quarterback and stop blaming the coaching staff and stop blaming everything around you. I don't know, man. I honestly do not know what I would give up for Stafford. Personally, I would go cheap on trying to get him, personally. And there's other quarterbacks that I would be willing to pay more for to go get before giving up a huge package for Stafford.
Fair enough. Well, we'll keep our eyes on this story, and hopefully it happens on like a Monday or Tuesday afternoon, so we can, really give it some attention on the show.
Our luck, it'll happen like, on a Wednesday.
Yeah. All right, so let's close out the NFL talk. Jennifer King, if that's not a name that you should. Jennifer King is she's not only going to be the first full-time
assistant position coach in NFL history. She's going to be the first African-American female assistant position coach full-time in the NFL. Now, she's going to be the assistant running back coach for the Washington football team. She was a coaching intern this past season. And she was reporting to running backs coach Randy Jordan. This is a big deal, Jackson Law. I think this is a major deal. Yeah. I really think that Dan Snyder especially is trying to shake off the negative stigma that's been around him for the last 10, 15, 20 years, where not only does he bring in Ron Rivera as his coach, he gets rid of the racist name of the team. And now we have a black woman as the first full-time female assistant, full-time female position coach on the team. This is a big deal to me.
Oh, it's a huge deal. And she's got the resume to back it up that she knows football. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I had no idea about the Women's Football Alliance, but she was a player, quarterback and wide receiver for the Carolina Phoenix from 2006 to 2017. So this isn't one of those situations where you're getting somebody in here that doesn't know the game of football, never played football, I should say, or, because like some people, and it's like even other coaches and everything, they grow up around the game. Maybe they play it at a younger level, and then they're just in with coaches from here on out. And obviously, because women can't play in the NFL, really the only women that you see playing football with men right now is
high school,
which they just did it at the college level
high school
for the first
college.
time, but mostly high school. Yeah, the high school down the road from me they made big news because they had a girl that was a soccer player, but they don't have a soccer program. But she ended up, playing football for them as their kicker. But this is huge. This is great news. Kudos to her for grinding, working her butt off, getting to the point where she's in, and putting in her time and making a good enough impression to where she's going to be 5-6 days of the week she's going to be working her tail off with the running backs, making sure that they're ready for prime time. And then on Sundays, they're going to be taking because it's going to be the head coach, telling her what needs to be done, and then she's going to convey it to the players and make sure they're ready. So she's not just an intern anymore. She is a coach.
She is in charge of those running backs.
She carries weight with them. They're going to have to listen to her, and depending on their success and depending on her as a coach, which she's got the pedigree for it, is whether or not they will succeed or fail. And this is cool. This is awesome. Congratulations to her.
Absolutely. And her coaching timeline is amazing. 2018, after a retirement from the Women's Football Alliance, she was an intern wide receivers coach for the Carolina Panthers. Then 2018-2019, assistant wide receivers coach and special team assistant for the Arizona Hotshots. 2019, interim running backs coach for the Carolina Panthers. Then in 2019, she was also an offensive assistant for Dartmouth College. That's actually kind of a big deal, man. Dartmouth has their program isn't. It's not tiny potatoes. It may not be a full course meal, but it ain't small potatoes. And then, of course,
this past season, like I said,
she's got the pedigree
for it.
Yeah,
there's no questioning this as a situation as like they're just hiring her because she's African American or just because she's a woman and they want to try to push boundaries. No, she legitimately checks every box that she would want for that position to have. So if she's the best person for the job, why not hire her?
Hell yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to start closing out the show. Let's talk about the top fives of the NBA for the 6th week of the season. Oh, man. So neither one of our teams are even close to sniffing the top 5, J-Law. We got the Lakers at number 1.
My team hasn't played 4 games in a row.
That's true. Yeah, your team might have to suspend their season. They're too busy letting it rain in those Memphis strip clubs. But we got the Lakers at number 1.
4 that there are around there.
Yeah, really.
and one time I was passing through there, they were there was one that was promoting free wings when you came in there. So I'm questioning the quality
of their
entertainment. If
if the wings are what's going to bring people in there. Although I'll tell you the truth, man, if I'm driving by a strip club and I see free chicken wings, hey, I don't care if it's Ratchet Wednesday or if it's Coke Nail Saturday. I'm just there for the wings. That's all there is. And I will eat as many wings as I'm allowed to.
Talk to me. Nobody talk to me.
Get away from me, woman.
I'm just here for the wings.
I'm just here for the wings. I don't care. I don't care nothing about you shaking that ass. I just want the wings. You gonna have to. Hey, it did not say what I had.
I got
to
a ring.
pay.
I got wings. That's all I'm here for.
Yep. I got rings. I got wings. It's all I want. Oh, you have to buy a beer. It did not say that on the sign. That's all I got. I'm sorry. If you've got to promote your kitchen, if you've got to promote your kitchen over your dancers, there's a problem with your establishment. You know, I better not say nothing because that might be a connected club that's a front. I better be careful. So anyway, so the Lakers are on our top spot right now, 14-4 right now. LeBron's averaging 25, 7-7. Anthony Davis, 21, 8-3. First in the Western Conference. Clippers right behind him at 13-4. Kawhi's going 25, 5-5. Paul George, 23, 6-5. LA is just where it's at in the NBA right now. Utah Jazz, 12-4 with an 8-game win streak. Donovan Mitchell, 24, 4-5. Utah making nearly 17 threes a game, shooting 40%. Whew. They're among the hottest teams.
This team is playing good.
They are.
The Jazz are playing good, and shout out to Grizzlies legend, one of the key members of the core four, Mike Conley, for balling it up in Utah, man. Happy for him.
Yeah, they're the hottest team in the NBA right now, according to the power rankings. Some folks are arguing they should be number one, but the problem is you're in Utah. Enough said.
And number one's the Lakers, so you can't really compete.
No matter what team LeBron is on, that's the number one. Number four, we got the Philadelphia 76ers, top team in the East at 12-6. 2 straight wins in Boston, and Joel Embiid he's 27-11-2. I think Joel Embiid is playing with some fire, some power right about now. I can't wait to see him.
He is.
I think I might have to switch my teams. I think I might have to start rooting for. I'm going to be a fair weather NBA fan. I'm just going to root for whatever team I seem to like more. Yeah, no, I like the 76ers this week. Oh man, Giannis is going awesome again. I like the Milwaukee Bucks now. Yeah, I'm going to be the most fair weather NBA fan ever.
Yeah. And for Embiid, and kind of jumping into with the number 5 team in the power rankings, the Nuggets, who have Nikola Jokic, who is also playing at an MVP level. This is, believe it or not, this is like 2 true bigs, not like a Giannis type big, or a point forward like LeBron, or a point guard, per se like Steph. This is 2 classic style bigs that are probably going to finish at the top of the MVP race. I don't think Giannis wins it again this year, just because of the disappointment that he had last year. There is such a thing as voter fatigue, and people just aren't going to vote for you anymore. Even though it's a regular season award, they're going to stop voting for you if you're getting bounced in the second round of the playoffs each and every year. You're just not going to get. They're going to move on to different storylines. And Embiid definitely has a claim at it, because the Sixers are 12-6, but they are 0-4 when Embiid is not on the floor. So when it's just Ben Simmons as their all-NBA player out there, they're 0-4. When Embiid rolls out there, or even if Simmons is out and it's just Embiid, when Simmons is out and it's just Embiid out there, that's when they're at their greatest, which is why I think they should move on from Simmons if they could. To be fair,
but he's got I was on
money tied board.
Way too much.
I know. But the thing is like they could have used Simmons to try to get James Harden. Like that was one of the things where it's like if they got James Harden, they had Harden and Embiid, I'd have been like, holy crap, that's a scary team out east. But unfortunately, that was not the case.
Not to be.
But Jokic, not to be, but Jokic to me has the lead in the MVP race, just from the fact that they're both putting up relatively the same amount of numbers, close to same amount of points, same amount of rebounds, but it's the assists that kind of tips the balance.
Well,
You'd also have to look at defensive stats too. Yeah, and Embiid is probably the better all-around defender. Both kind of protect the rim pretty well. But Embiid definitely is probably better at that. And so who knows, once we kind of see the defensive impact that he has.
Well, I think the only reason why Embiid might get a little bit more of a nod, though, is because Jokic seems to fall a little bit more into that point forward category where, he is in a lot of ways a traditional big, but he also sort of fits the mold of the point forward where, Embiid is the classic big, plus.
Yeah, but a lot of times, like what they'll use Jokic for, like his assists, they come in like offensive sets. So it's true. They're using him more and just like a traditional pick and roll or dump it down to him. He gets the ball somewhere in the middle of the paint and he kicks it out. And it really depends on how the Nuggets shooters are going. I got a friend that's a huge Nuggets fan, so I watch a lot of Nuggets stuff. So that way he has someone to talk to about the Nuggets. And so just the way that they use Jokic, it isn't necessarily like how you'll see like Giannis bringing up the ball a lot. Jokic will sometimes. So, and that is where he has an advantage in that aspect. But I would still consider Jokic as as more of like more along the lines of a traditional big than what Giannis is by any stretch of the means. And also the man has this crazy turnaround jump shot where his legs are pointed in different directions and the ball's like behind his head and it goes straight up in the air. And it's like 2 seconds after the buzzer has sounded. That's when it finally goes in. It's the weirdest stuff. And when he retires, I hope they put a silhouette of that on the court like they did with Nowitzki. Like his classic fadeaway, like they did in Dallas after he retired. I want to see that on Denver's court. I want to see this really odd looking silhouette of just a large Serbian man on the court.
I'll say this, and I'll end this part of it with this. I kind of wish they were still making Sega Genesis games, and then we got like a Bulls versus Lakers or Lakers versus Celtics, and we would get that animation of that shot in a Sega Genesis pixelation. That'd be awesome. All right, so we're gonna close out the show. We got to remember the Black Mamba, one of the greatest of all time to ever do it, Kobe Bryant. We lost Kobe and Gianna a year ago today in a tragic helicopter crash in Los Angeles. The 5-time NBA champion was in, I believe it was like 9 others, were going to a one of Gianna's basketball games. And it's definitely, it's heart-wrenching. It's so hurtful. I remember exactly what I was doing that day. I was actually recording another podcast. I believe I had just gotten home from traveling. And because I believe I had just gotten home from traveling. And we got the news that that Kobe and his daughter had passed. So a lot of NBA teams tonight are going to be doing tributes to Kobe. The Lakers aren't, and I understand why. They don't want to sort of rehash the trauma of the loss of Kobe among the team and the fan base, and I totally understand that. I think that's a good call. Besides, I don't think that Kobe's ever really left the thoughts in minds in the hearts of the Laker faithful. So, rest in peace, Kobe.
Last year I remember I'll easily remember what I was doing because my wife and I had a baby shower that day. And she even sent a picture to me. She was like, "Hey, this was us 1 year ago today." And I'm like, "Yeah, I look terrible. I look sad in the picture when I should be happy." I could tell that I have a fake smile on because literally less than an hour before that is when a friend of mine texted me the TMZ article talking about the crash, and I'm like, that's bull, dude. Like, you can't believe everything TMZ says. And then someone else broke it, and then it got put in the Slack for Vendetta in our NBA talk. And we're talking, and it's like, is this real? Is this real? And it's like, there's no way. It's like, all of us refuse to believe it. And pretty much, everyone else is like, it's like, everyone's like, no, this is stupid. Like, it's fake. Someone's just trying to get, like some views or whatever. But that unfortunately, wasn't the case. And dude, I remember straight up just like watching the news and crying, sitting on my couch, and my wife, obviously sympathetic towards it because the basketball world isn't necessarily her world. So she understood, but who Kobe was and everything. But at the same time, it's like, this is a dude. For a lot of people my age, he was our MJ. That's what he was. He was our Michael Jordan. That's the even when you had the rise of LeBron and everything. Obviously, I've been there for all of that, but it was always LeBron trying to get to the next point. Kobe was already at peak, and seeing him win those 2 titles with the Lakers was absolutely incredible. And he's someone that changed the culture for the better. How many countless number of kids across the world, shouting Kobe when they're throwing like a bottle away, into a trash can. Yep. I always kind of acknowledged it, but never really carried it with me that when I played basketball in high school, and I was always biting and chewing on my jersey, like the front of my jersey. And the reason why I did it was because Kobe did it. Right. I did a lot of things on the court the way Kobe did. Kobe played intense defense. He's the player I looked up to for if I didn't have a good shot that night, if it just wasn't falling, I was going to play defense. I was going to get down and work my ass off because that was the Mamba mentality, right, was to never give up. I saw an interview that he gave today where, he was talking about, he's always going to be ready to take that last second shot. And he's like, if I miss it, so what? Just get back and try to do it again. And and also acknowledging the stuff that he did off the court too, his Mamba Academy, bringing the game of basketball to a new generation, everything that he did for the WNBA as well. I saw a tweet about a month ago maybe where the woman that designed where it's just the plain orange sweatshirt with the WNBA logo, she said Kobe liked it, wore it to one game, and it sold out the next day. And then, of course, there was always talk. Gianna was wanting to talk about, she easily could have made it to the WNBA and probably in like everybody, everybody would have been turning in to watch Gianna, the young Mambacita, ball it up on the court. There's some good players, obviously, like some popular players that are starting to, rise up in the WNBA, but Gianna would have like taken it to another level. And then, of course, winning an Oscar with the short, his NBA short, Dear Basketball, and, the children's books that he did and the countless of other good things that he did in his life. It just sucks that we lost him so soon because man had a lot more to give.
Absolutely. And before we go, I want to bring up one thing that I just happened to see on Twitter. And this was retweeted by a Buster Olney from Gabe. I don't know. I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'm not even going to say it. Apparently, there's a statement from James Forbes Clark, the chairman of the board for the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. And it says here, as you know, the board of directors of the National Baseball Hall of Fame sets the rules and procedures for the BBWAA balloting process. The board has received Curt Schilling's request for removal from the 2022 ballot and will consider the request at our next meeting. So Curt Schilling wants to be removed from ballot consideration next year. Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, that's huge. That is huge.
That's all I can say is just wow. I don't really know how else to respond to that.
So we're gonna get out of here.
Wow.
Leave you guys. Yeah, really. We're gonna leave you guys to chew on that for a little bit. Remember, follow us on Twitter at Tanndemonium at Tanndemonium, or follow Vendetta Sports Media at was it Vendetta_media. Follow Vendetta Sports Media on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, search Vendetta Sports Media, subscribe. Make sure if you're on, no matter how you're subscribing, turn on all those notifications so you can get our videos. We got new videos posting practically every single solitary day. You get the Tanndemonium Sports Show weekly and so many other decent shows. Toast Time. You got Jackson Law has like 5,322 gaming streams showing up on the channel constantly.
I gotta finish them and cut it down, dude. There's more things I want to do, and I get so excited to do them, and it's like I can't do that yet, man. I got too much.
Yeah, we got so much going on, and make sure you especially go to vendettasportsmedia.com. We have articles coming out every single solitary day. There's always something going out there, you know, and you'll see something you like. We definitely try to quote our Vendetta Sports Media colleagues on our show. Very rarely do we go to anything else. We definitely don't go to the competition. You're going to get the stuff here. We're our own little self-contained unit with that regard. But hey, I had to go with some Buster Only stuff right there because the guy's he's the guy. But yeah, and we're on Patreon as well. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/vendettasportsmedia.com. Donate to our tiers. Help us to, you know, up our game a little bit to be the best of the best that we can possibly be. As well, don't forget, go to joshgibson.org and sign the petition so that the Major League Baseball MVP award is changed to the Josh Gibson Memorial MVP trophy. JG20 MVP. Hashtag JG20 MVP. Let's get Josh Gibson's name on that award. Because let's be honest, if Josh Gibson would have been able to be in Major League Baseball from start to finish of his career, Barry Bonds, no matter how much he juiced, would have caught that record. Ever. That being said, he's Jackson Law. I'm Brian Tann. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. We'll see you next week.